Good afternoon, everyone. Today, as we recognize Black history, we are here to have a conversation about the meaning of Black history through our perspective of our leaders today. We have a distinguished panel of our local leaders who will be here to speak about their thoughts on Black history through their lenses. So first and foremost, we have Elmer Lucille Allen. She is the first African-American chemist to work for Brown Forman. She worked there for 31 years. Ms. Allen is also a scientist. She's an artist. She's a pioneer, and she is our top 3 customer. We also have Dr. Deonte Hollowell. He is the program director and associate professor at the African American Studies at Spalding University. And last but not least, we have Judge Josephine Buckner. She is the district judge of the 30th Judicial District, Division 12. So, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Deonte Hollowell, who is going to open us up with conversations about Black History Month.
Thank you, Christy, and thank you everyone for showing up. We really appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy schedule to be with us, to have what I look at as a necessary conversation about Black history. And I want to start off by saying that the celebration of Black history is not necessarily just about recognizing the struggles that African Americans have been through, but more importantly, understanding the achievements of our people and making sure that everyone does what they can do to support us going forward. Many of you probably know that this year marks the 100th anniversary of the celebration of Black History Month. Actually, it started with Dr. Carter G. Woodson back in 1926 with Negro History Week. And Dr. Woodson's vision for all of us was to be able to celebrate Black history 365 days a week. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in a current political climate that denies often Black people's right and expectation to celebrate those facts. And so I'm proud of TARC for being willing to step out there and to help us to celebrate the 100th year of Black history. So let's give that a round of applause. Shout out to Dr. Woodson. And I'm looking forward to a very pointed conversation about the celebration of Black history.
I'm Judge Josephine Buckner. And when I think about Black History Month, I thought of 2 things. And I'm glad to hear that Dr. Hollowell was thinking the same way. I think of it as sharing the excellence of Black people, but also understanding the struggle and the overcoming that our people have done. My father was always one to tell us about our family history and do just that. You tell the good and the bad. You tell the positives and the negatives. You tell where you excelled and where you need to do better. So I think Black History Month is important because it is the way you teach our American history.
My name is Elmer Lucille Allen, and I am proud to be here today. I would just like to say that being in this building, my father was a Pullman porter, and I could not be sitting where I am today back there when I was a little girl. I am a retired chemist from Brown Forman. I was the first African-American chemist there, and I worked there 31 years, and I have not worked one day since I retired. I'm also a chemist and an artist. And I started taking art classes because I had arthritis in my hands. And I went on and got a master's in ceramics. And I'm still doing art. Thank you all for being here today.
So Miss Elmer Lucille, I apologize, Dr. Elmer Lucille Allen, she did earn her honorary doctorate from Spalding University last year based on our recommendation. Give her a round of applause. And she's quite humble. She's never stopped working. She works every single day. She does something to improve our community every day. And I'm just excited to be around her. We've become friends, and we'll talk later about the conference that we're going to do in honor of her next week. But it's icons like Miss Elmer Lucille that make our experience in celebrating Black History Month all that much more important. She maybe didn't say this, but Miss Elmer Lucille Allen also started the first Black baseball league in the city of Louisville. Isn't that right, Miss Elmer Lucille?
Yes, that's right.
You want to talk to the people about why you did that and what your experience was like?
Why did I start? Why did I want a little league? Well, I had two sons, and there was no little league on the other side of Broadway. There was Shawnee Little League, and African American children that lived on the other side could not play. So I raised money and had 6 teams, and so that my boys could play. But I do things because I want to do them. Not from money. I haven't been paid for anything that I've done. But I just felt like that right now we do not have a little league in the West End now. But there are a lot of things that I've done to help my children and the people in the community. I do not do things for me.
And thank you for that. Thank you for your contribution to that, Ms. Elmer Lucille. And this should be a message to everyone. As she said, we currently don't have a little league in West Louisville, and this could be very well an opportunity for us to think about how to initiate things such as that based on the legacy of Ms. Elmer Lucille. So she's a great person for us to follow and one for us to know definitely. So I want to ask, can I ask her a question? So I want to ask you, who were your influences, and then also to Judge Buckner as well, and then I'll go last. Who were your influences as you grew up and wanting to improve the quality of life for Black folks? Who did you look toward?
Well, when you think about that, I grew up at 1724 West Chester, and next door to me there was a young man that taught tailoring at Central High School, and then I took sewing, but there are things that I've done. I forget. I'm 94 years old, and it's hard for me to remember all the things that I have seen or experienced in life. But I just think that we need to give more to our children, and we need to be an example of who we are today for the children to grow up to be. And I'm still out here doing things that I didn't want to do. And I'm still a student at the University of Louisville. I go to classes on Mondays and Wednesdays. But I like being in the environment to learn. Learning never stops.
That's right.
Because you graduate from Central High School or from Mayo, education doesn't stop at the 12th grade. You continue learning always through life. And that's what I believe everybody needs to do.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Judge Buckner?
So, people who have given me what I need to be successful. First, I start with my parents. They made education important in our home. They also taught us how to love other people and ourselves. And that's really important as you get out in this world, graduate from high school, go to college, and you're learning about yourself. I feel like Black history can be most like religion, because if you feel like you're a child of God and you believe that you are here for a reason and that you're loved, then Black history should feel that same way. Like you should feel proud of that history. You should want to share that history. I also got some of that when I got to the University of Louisville, and I wrote down a couple of names. I had Dr. Hudson, Dr. Blaine Hudson. I was an English literature major, but I took lots of Dr. Hudson's classes for Pan-African Studies and learned things I hadn't learned before. And that was really eye-opening. It he was such a humble and smart man. So it just showed you how people who have this education, like Dr. Hollowell, how they're willing to share that with 18-year-olds that are running around, coming and going, not knowing what their life will be, but they're just trying to plant seeds to make you better. I also noted Dr. Douglas and Dr. McMillan was there when I was there in the 90s, and they were so positive, and they had so much hope for the future of our country, for the future of our young people. And I always feel like, I mean, I don't know them, we're not related, we're not family, I was just a kid in their classes, but here now, 25 or more years later, I feel like they're uncles. Like, in my mind's eye, they may have been having a conversation amongst themselves, and I took from the way they presented, the information they were giving, the education they were trying to instill in us. And all these years later, they still leave that impression. And I'll give an honorable mention to Ed Hamilton, the sculptor, because now as an adult, I see him out in the community, and I hear about all that he's done with his talent, and those are just people who have really inspired me along the way.
I think that Judge Buckner copied off my notes. But I definitely draw inspiration from Dr. Blaine Hudson, as well as Dr. Bob Douglas and Dr. McMillan. I wanted to just kind of harp on a few more things about them. The Pan-African Studies Department at the University of Louisville was started by the aforementioned Dr. James Blaine Hudson. And I actually ended up becoming the first person to gain a master's in that program. And so I had, it's important. It's also important to know that some of these times when we have these Black First, it's a symptom of how far behind we are as a nation. With that being said, Dr. Hudson was, as she said, a very humble individual, and it took him going to jail, risking his freedom, in order for us to be able to have Pan-African Studies at the University of Louisville. Now that's more of something to clap about, because he wasn't afraid to put himself in harm's way, and neither was Dr. Douglas. Now we get to Dr. McMillan. He created what is known as the Black Family Conference. And so the Black Family Conference lasted up until 2018. Once the Black Family Conference was no longer going to happen, we were inspired to continue that legacy on with the Elmer Lucille Allen Conference on African American Studies. And so I approached Miss Elmer Lucille about naming our conference after her, and she told me that that was fine so long as I made it about the community. And so next week, Thursday, February 19th, and Friday, February the 20th, we will be hosting the 8th annual Elmer Lucille Allen Conference on African American Studies. And at that conference, the first day, we will be focused on youth leadership, and we will be hosting that at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage. Our keynote speaker that day will be my colleague, Dr. Cicely Cottrell, who is the Director of Criminal Justice Studies at Spalding. The second day, Friday, February the 20th, will be our academic presentations, and the keynote speaker that evening will be Dr. George C. Wright, who is currently a professor of African American Studies at the University of Kentucky. He wrote a book called A Life Behind the Veil, which is a telling story, if you will, about the legacy of Black folks here in Louisville between the years of 1865 and 1930. And he wrote that book in 1985. And so now a lot of folks in the community are leaning back toward that book to try to express what needs to happen currently for Black people to continue to move forward. So those are some of the people that I'm inspired by, whether it's Sister Elmer Lucille, whether it's Brother Joseph McMillan, or Dr. James Blaine Hudson, and also Dr. Douglas. So my next question for you, Dr. Elmer Lucille Allen, is I know that you have, currently you own several houses. Not trying to put a business out in the street, but I do want people to understand how committed she is to helping people to move forward. Would you like to talk about the work that you do with the West End Women's Collaborative, or what you do with the houses once you purchase them?
Well, I don't talk about myself. And I do not receive money for the houses. I own 4 houses in the West End. West End Louisville Collaborative was 3835 Hale. And I own that, but they've purchased property also there. And there's a Lambert there that people can walk in. But my grandson lives in one of the houses, and he has 3 children. His wife left him, and he has no money at all, so he doesn't pay any rent at all. I pay all his bills for him. The other house, my son takes care of, and like I say, I receive no money, and they're all in the West End, and I built there in 1960, and I'm still there, and I just think that people need to give back, because you have, I do not take things for myself. I do things for other people. And you sit down and think, I'm an artist, but I do art just main thing, you have to do something to entertain yourself. And I would just like to show you all 2 books that I'm in. The Portraits of Grace was written by, I'll tell you, Joan Zender, and I'm one of the ladies in that book.
And when was that book written, Ms. Allen?
It was written in 2007, and they're all about women, and I'm one of the women that's in there.
Oh, look at that.
Awesome.
And this piece that was donated to the Filson Club, so it's on it. So you can go there and see this exhibition there. Also, there's another book that's written called Kentucky Women, and it was written by Eugenia Potter. And I think you can get these books at the library, but I'll just show you. It's a picture. And this is the front of the book. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but these, I think you can see these books at the library, but the things that I've done, I've not done for myself. I just like to share, and I think that we need to teach our children to do for others versus trying to do for ourselves. And I think I have to thank Dr. Hollowell for what he has done here at Spalding, because when I went to Spalding, it was then Nazareth College in 1949 when I graduated from Central High School. I could not go to the University of Louisville. They had a black school, Louisville Municipal College, and I went there 2 years. And I went there, and then in 1951, when the University of Louisville closed Louisville Municipal College, I could not afford to go to U of L, and I went to Nazareth, and I graduated. It's now Spalding University, and that's where I have my undergraduate degree from. Yeah, and that was in 1953. Yeah. So, like I said, education. I'm still a student at U of L. Learning never stops, and I think that we need to really teach our children. Just because you graduate from Central High School, you need to continue your education wherever you want to go. There's nothing else. If you lead your own life. Thank you all so very much for being here.
Thank you. And so I wanted to ask Judge Buckner, and not to put you on the spot, but of course there are currently, and I mentioned in the current administration, the legal implications of celebrating Black history. If you all don't know, there have been attempts to erase Black History Month, Black history in general, quote unquote DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, but also the field, the academic study of Black studies. And so I want to ask you, how privy are you to the legal implications of that? Should people be concerned? Do people have to worry? Should people like me start learning how to cook or something like that so I can learn how to make some money, even though I already know how to cook? But what are your thoughts on the legal implications of where we are now concerning the celebration of Black History?
Well, one of the things I wrote down in my notes was how when I started practicing law and as I was coming through undergrad, I didn't know that I wanted to be a judge, but I got the necessary education and took that bar exam and passed it and became an attorney. And then once I got there and had practiced downtown for a few years, I decided I wanted to be a judge. And there were very few African American judges, and we've made great strides in people being able to run for that office as a Black person and become a judge at all levels now. And that's something that I'm really proud to see. If you are a person who is getting your education and putting in very hard work, then you pay your taxes and you should be able to participate. And that's what we've got to take away. I think the labels can get in the way, but when you do what you are supposed to do, and when you get those credentials, and when you work hard and decide to participate in our government, in our businesses, in our corporations, on the farms, whatever it may be, we should all have that access, and that is what diversity is. So I may not be the person to discuss directly to your question, but as an American person, I just understand that we don't need to be separated by these ideals for people who don't have our best interest at heart. We just need to continue to work and continue to participate, learn about people, meet people, learn about people, get to know them, and then that's how we can power through the issues that we're having right now with DEI. Not easy, but if we can do it.
And I definitely appreciate that. And I think it's important for us to recognize that there are some misconceptions when it comes to the DEI, the Black history, and all of those things. Oftentimes, we get considered to be affirmative action hires. You heard probably that term in the 80s. Nowadays, we are looked at as separatists. We're looked at as even racist. But I think that's because sometimes folks don't understand what DEI is, what Black Studies is, and what Black history is. I want you to understand that Black history, or Black Studies rather, has three purposes. The first one is to rewrite history. Why do we need to do that? Because some historical mistruths have been told about our people. Black history is in fact world history, and so everyone should be apprised of, again, the accomplishments and the struggles of Black people. Secondly, there has to be a safe space for Black people to tell their story. Again, I commend TARC for opening up their space to allow us to tell our story, even if only briefly. When I first got to Spalding in 2009, they had two African American history classes, African American History 1 and African American History 2. And now we have an African American Studies minor, which is 18 hours, 6 courses. We have an African American Studies major, which is 33 hours, roughly 15 courses, depending on how you take them. And so we are slowly but surely moving toward where we need to be. That third focus of our discipline is to make sure that we improve the quality of life for all Black people. And so we have to be also, as a people, diverse in how we approach Black studies and how we continue to try to improve the lives of all of our people. And so I want to, do we have a few more minutes or? Okay. So I want to go back to Ms. Elmer Lucille Allen because she has lived a very long life, and this is this the 50th year anniversary of you being at Brown Forman? Is that about right?
Yes,
Or
no,
is it 40?
I retired from there when did I retire?
Never. That's what I hear.
I've been retired for 30 years.
But where I'm trying to get to with my question for you is, what advice would you have for someone who wants to have a long career like you did at Brown Forman, but also an extended career in serving their people? What would you tell a person that was inspired by your story?
Well, first of all, you have to do something that you want to do.
Okay.
It has to be something that you want to do. And when you say, how did I choose science? Well, I chose science because I had arthritis in my hands. And this is where I actually started. I couldn't use my hands, and they told me to take ceramics. I started taking ceramics, and then it's really gone from there. Then I went to U of L. No, I went to Metro Arts Center, which is around Dixie Highway, and I took classes there. And there were 2 students there that were in the graduate program at the University of Louisville, Melvin Rowe and Laura Ross. And they encouraged me to go to U of L. So I went to U of L just to take as an independent student because I didn't know. And then while I was there, they needed somebody to work on the master's program, and I was asked to take a graduate course, and that's where I got my master's from. But I would just like to say is that you have to be involved, and you have to do the things that you enjoy doing, and you have to give back. In other words, I give all the time, and when you sit down and think about when he was talking about the house right there at 38th and Hale, they pay $1 a month. How many people own property that you rent for $1 a month?
Only you.
Yeah, but it's just, in other words, I enjoy being with people, and I think that we, as individuals, need to give back. We need to share, yeah. And in other words, love yourself, but also love others also. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Judge Buckner, same question. Someone is inspired by your story, inspired by wanting to be in the legal profession, someone that is African American. What advice would you give to them on how they can make it to where you are or to where they would like to be?
One thing I share with everybody I try to come in contact with is to come down to the courthouse and see what we do, at least on that level. We've got district court, we've got circuit court, we've got court of appeals and Supreme Court that happens right here in our own town. Come down and see it. I tell the young people, come down, see us, talk to us, to find out if it's something that you really want to do. That's number one. What was the question?
Just someone that's inspired by what you've done, what advice would you give them?
And when you're an attorney, and really for any kind of law that you practice, you have to continuously learn. And you have to like to do that. You have to want to, if you're introduced to a client, or if you're introduced to a concept, if you're introduced to in a car accident, we learn about different trucks, we learn about all sorts of things. You never know what's going to come through that door. So in order to be a good attorney, you have to want to learn about that to represent your client. There's no way around it. People who do not do that are not successful. And you also have to have enough knowledge to know who to hire to be your experts, who to hire to be your co-counsel. Like, there's layers that only people who want to continually learn can do the best in the profession. So I also share that with them.
Well, thank you. And I would answer the question also by saying that, first and foremost, acknowledging to anyone that wants to get into the Black Studies world that there are so many options of things that you can do with that. I remember when I was in undergrad, people would always ask me, even my friends, even my family, what are you going to do with that Pan-African Studies degree? This looks like a basketball player's schedule, and things of that nature. But the truth is that there are so many careers that lean itself toward being able to have a good knowledge of your history. In fact, I would venture to say that knowing your history or knowing the history of any particular discipline is where you're going to start anyway. And so within the area of Black studies, there are many different pathways you could take. I chose a lot of them. I'm a professor at Spalding, but I do a lot of other things as well, whether that is community engagement, whether that's engaging with my church. But I always just tell young folks especially to find your niche, find something that you enjoy doing, find something to love about it, and then go from there. Now, when you're in my world, you have to operate with zero fear. The politics of fear don't work for us. Because our job is so important, we have to be steadfast in knowing what it is we're trying to do. The theme for this year's conference, by the way, is standing on a legacy and building toward a future. That's homage to Dr. Elmer Lucille Allen. It's her shoulders that we stand on. And so in order for you or anyone to be able to successfully navigate Black studies or Black history or what have you, you have to understand whose shoulders you stand upon and make sure that you acknowledge that person, acknowledge those folks, and really strive to kind of please them. So I think I'm getting the message that...
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You can, go ahead.
So just to end by saying that, again, currently the population, the general vibe, especially in the state of Kentucky, unfortunately, is going against African American studies, Black history, DEI, when just 5 years ago, everybody was quote unquote woke. In order to be successful in this, you have to recognize that there's ebbs and flows politically with how things change in our society, and you can't be moved by that. You have to be moved by constant improvement, and you have to stick to your guns, stick to your ideas as much as you can, and again, operate with passion and the spirit of what we call the consciousness of victory. In other words, knowing that when it's all said and done, we're going to be victorious and successful as we've always done. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Hollowell, you have mentioned again when the conference is. I will say that TART, we were able to partner with Dr. Hollowell and Ms. Allen. We were able to provide JCPS students, Spalding students, tickets to ride our bus so that they can get to and from the conference. Dr. Hollowell?
And this is the second year for that. Let's give Talk a round of applause for standing on that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I heard about the Rosa Parks tribute that you guys have done. I also want to shout out Sister Claudette Colvin, who made that move even before Rosa Parks did, but because of her appearance and her age and the fact that she was a wed mother, she wasn't accepted. So we have to also keep our eye on her. She did just pass in 2025, and she has a wonderful legacy as well. The conference, if you want to know more information, you can get one of these from me. It has a QR code on there. You scan that thing with your phone, even if you have an Android. I have an Android, that's why I can say that. And you will be able to register. The conference is free and open to the public. Again, the first 2 days are February 19th, which is Thursday, a week from today. February 20th, we will begin at 10 o'clock both days and end around 6 o'clock. The first day, as Ms. Ware said, is dedicated to our youth. We are proud that she was able to help us to get some transportation for our young people who do get an excuse from JCPS to come and attend our conference. So don't think that we're trying to take them away from school. We're actually trying to give them more school. And so the second day is, again, 10 to 6 o'clock, and the keynote speaker is Professor George C. Wright from the University of Kentucky. The third day is Saturday, February 21st, and at 5 p.m. we will be at the West End Baptist Church, right across from Central Park, doing a community service project where we'll be collecting books by Black authors so that we can put them in the hands of folks that are currently incarcerated. So if you want any more information about the conference, you can see us. We will have food there, finger foods. We're not going to try to, it's not a buffet, but we will have food and drinks and things of that nature available. And again, I'm looking forward to this conference taking all the way off. and doing the same things and even more that the Black Family Conference did back in the day. So I greatly appreciate your attention, and hopefully you will have a chance to join us at the conference.
Thank you all so much. Any final words from anyone? Final words? No?
I would just like to say thank you all so very much for being here today.
All right, well, we at TARP, we are so honored to have you, Ms. Allen, you, Dr. Hollowell, and you, Judge Buckner. We do have some TARP swag that we want to give you all, so we will present you all with that. Thank you all for attending.